welcome. We're at 6 o'clock, so we can officially start. I am Mayor Carey, and I have Director Tim Street with Parks here with me today. And if you're new to these town halls, these are an opportunity really to, I give you an update. I usually invite a cabinet member. We always invite the city council member from the district to come as well. I'll give an update. Tim will give an update. Councilmember Zulik is in this district, and unfortunately she couldn't be with us tonight, and sends her regrets and wants you all to know that she is available to you. So if you live in this district and we're hoping to see Councilmember Zulik tonight, please do reach out to her. She will be with me tomorrow, and I expect we'll probably have low attendance here tonight because tomorrow I have a listening session that is particularly targeted to hearing feedback about the Kirkwood closure. So if you're here tonight and you can't come tomorrow, please feel free to express yourself. I'm hoping not to spend a bunch of time on Kirkwood tonight, though, because I know people have other things they'd like to talk about. So these town halls are really meant for you. I'll give you some updates. Tim will give you some updates, but then you all get to ask questions based on what you would like to hear more about. We do try to end on time, and my thanks to the Monroe County History Center for hosting us tonight. We do move these town halls around, so we have 6 council districts. We move them, so we hit each council district throughout the year. And on the months that I don't have town halls, I instead have traveling office hours, and that's a time that you can connect with me one-on-one. We do have you sign up ahead of time for those office hours so that people don't have to be standing around waiting for a turn. You know when you will have a chance to sit down with me. And as always, thanks to Katz for being here and making us accessible to the folks at home. I want to wish everybody a happy Pride Month. In Bloomington, this mayor celebrates Pride Month. I know we've had a declaration of Pride Month that also came with a proclamation about nuclear families, and I want to tell you that we celebrate organic families here in Bloomington, which is all kinds of families, and love means love here, and we want everybody to feel welcome and supported in Bloomington, and I think our community does a really great job of that. Let me start with a few updates, and I'm going to try to keep this super short, probably unsuccessfully. We are celebrating. In May, we had a unanimous votes from council following the unanimous vote of Plan Commission earlier in the year for the first phase of the Hopewell development. And we are really pleased with that. That will provide compact lots, some multifamily housing there. And of course, the core building is close to completion. And we're really excited about that. Hopewell is also home to our farmers market every Tuesday. Tim may mention that as well. So we hope that you come out and enjoy Hopewell Commons. We have it programmed with music every Tuesday night. So it's a great place to hang out, buy some produce, and listen to some music. I want to talk for a minute about SEA 285. That is the State House bill that illegalizes sleeping outside on public land. That goes into effect on July 1st, and I am pleased to say that in the past 2 years, we have taken a really strategic approach to entrenched encampments. There were more than a dozen when I took office as mayor. When they become unsafe, we have been providing, when possible, and almost always it has been possible, we provide a 30-day notice along with outreach to the residents of those encampments for services, and we have successfully closed down more than a dozen of those camps. There's only one remaining, and we have already noticed it, given the deadline that we have of July 1st. What the State House ruling says is that we can then only give a 48-hour notice, and if there is no alternative place for somebody to go, or they refuse to move, that we are compelled to arrest them. We don't want to be in that situation. So we have, we believe, only 7 residents left in our encampment. That is less than half the size that it was when we noticed it. And so what we found pretty successfully is when we send outreach workers and work in partnership with the residents of those camps, they do move willingly. We really continue our call for reunification where possible, when people don't have supportive services and network here. We know that they will get services better if they are close to where their family of origin is or where their most recent supportive network is. I want to talk for a minute about infrastructure and roads. As I mentioned, the Kirkwood listening session is tomorrow, so I'm not going to talk about Kirkwood closure tonight. It is construction season now, and what I like to say during construction season is sorry and you're welcome. You will see our trucks out, contractors' trucks out. We are spending this year, as of June 1st, we have already addressed 6,242 potholes in calendar year 2026, not that we're counting. And we have $4.7 million of improvements along Kirkwood, Rogers Street, Grimes Lane, Patterson Drive, all coming to you this season. That planned work includes street paving, some sidewalk improvements and repairs, accessible curb ramps, traffic signal improvements. We have curb changes and stormwater infrastructure and median islands and bump outs for traffic control, all happening within that $4.7 million. So there's a lot going on on various streets this summer, and thank you for your patience as we work to improve our infrastructure. You might also notice that we have a new raised sidewalk or crosswalk across Rogers near Switchyard Park. If you don't notice the signage before you go over it, you will certainly notice the raised walk. So that is to encourage people slowing down and pedestrian safety there. Again, if you don't know this already, we will be closing College Avenue so that they can complete the overpass there. And so that's going to be about a month-long closure. And I know that's a hassle. I am sorry, and we'll all be happy when it's done, but we are really pleased to be working in conjunction with the CIB on that and to be able to do it at one of our slowest traffic times of the year. So hopefully those alternative routes will work out for you. Talk a minute about community safety. You may have noticed that I chaired a meeting this past week in collaboration with County Council member Kate Wiltz on the topic of the new jail. To be clear, the jail is paid for and run by the county, and there may be some things, while it is a county project, it's obviously a concern to our whole community. I engaged because it's a community impact project, and really we needed to make sure that the county knows, and that we're at the table when we're needed, that we're willing to partner in any way we can to facilitate the planning that they need, or other things that may help facilitate ease of finding a new location for that jail. So not our project. I did chair the meeting. I will be on the working group. I am looking forward to this renewed collaboration with the county. We collaborate on many things. This is a new work topic for us, and I'm really hopeful that we'll make some good progress. Fire and police are all increasing their staffing. Fire is now fully staffed. Police is getting very close. We have a goal of getting police fully staffed by the end of this calendar year. So I'm very hopeful that we'll make that goal. Also, just a reminder or a news piece for all of you. If you see people in crisis this summer and it is not actively dangerous to the public, not a threat of crime, you see somebody out in the sun that looks like they're having a health crisis, you witness somebody having a mental health crisis, the right place to call is Stride. So again, no imminent public danger. Desiree at the table over there has Stride cards. It's a great idea to put that in your wallet so that you have the number handy, or you can just plug them right into your phone. 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They have mobile outreach. They will go to the person who is in need and help them, or people can stop by. Again, 24 hours, 7 days a week. They have mental health professionals there. They are the right place to go. So, if it's not criminal activity that's imminent threat to the public, please do call Stride, because we have been much more successful ultimately at getting people the help they need by using Stride. I am going to turn things over to Tim with one final shout out. We have lots of great things going on this weekend. Friday is Juneteenth, a really important celebration, end of slavery. We will celebrate down at Switchyard Park. That goes on from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. So a good day-long festival at Switchyard. It's going to be a blast. Always a fun time for the whole family. And that's on Friday. Again at Switchyard then, on Saturday, we have Grand Falloon. And this Saturday, we have Waxahachie giving a ticketed concert. We are really excited about that. And to talk more about all the fun things in Bloomington, our Parks Director, Tim Street.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Daniel. My name is Tim Street. One person applauded. I am the Director of Parks and Recreation. He does not. I am the Director of Parks and Recreation for the City of Bloomington. I have a really great job. We get to make Bloomington healthier, more connected, and more resilient in a lot of different ways. With us tonight is Satoshi Kido, also our sports director. I'll just note that he's here in the audience. Satoshi's a great leader for our sports division and is also available to talk if anyone wants to talk about one of our sports-related initiatives. As Mayor Thomson noted, it's a busy time of year. There's a lot going on this weekend. There's a lot going on this season. May and June are probably our busiest months of the year in terms of programming and things going on and preparations. We've launched our Banneker and Allison Jukebox Kid City summer camps. Those are in the middle of going on. We have concerts, a lot of concerts at the Tuesday Market, as well as events at Switchyard. You know, just this past week, we completed the Strawberry Shortcake Festival, which is not our event, but we get to host it. It's a really big day. They had a 5K as well. Also, of course, Food Truck Fridays are going on through the summer. We've had a lot of great crowds and great energy at Switchyard with everything going on. It's also a busy season because it's the season where we are most stretched, trying to keep up with U reports and tree growth and limbs that overgrow trails and, you know, all the things that come up during the course of a season that our staff are out there really working tirelessly to clean, to trim, to maintain. And we know every May, June, we get a little behind. We have to triage and get through things, and then we'll catch back up as the summer goes on. So apologies if, there's some branches and things like that. We're doing our best to get to it. We are really excited about the new partnership with IU for concerts at Switchyard. This is a really great new mutually beneficial partnership to bring Grand Falloon to Switchyard Park, to bring more concerts to Bloomington, to create a regional profile where people may start to hear about this and recognize the name Grand Falloon even more than they already have, and travel to Bloomington in the summer to take in some of these concerts. So Waxahachie is this Saturday. I'm excited about that. I just found out they're going to be doing a little, I don't quite know what to call it, but an art light display at the end of the show as well with some of the trees, like an LED lighting of the canopy on the way out. Should be very neat. Then in July, we've got Dave Rawlings and Gillian Welch. And in August, we've got hometown band Duran Jones and the Indicators. Looking forward to that. We're dealing with a lot of facility things. We have a lot of old facilities. This has been a big focus of our master planning, which we just concluded and adopted to the park board on June 1st. A few things with that. Mills Pool has been delayed opening this year because as we were filling the pool, it wouldn't fill, which means it had a leak somewhere. All of that is underground. We had to bring in a leak detection company to look, try to figure out what was going on, analyze. Of course, Mills Pool is from the 60s. There's a lot of generations of wear on the pool, we'll say. The good news is, while I can't say we fixed the leak per se, we did enough to mitigate it that we are going to plan to open Mills Pool this Friday for the remainder of the season. And we are going to have to look at that more as the season ends, though, and bring in the company and take a look and see how we can really work on that. That, of course, is not our only old facility. Bryan Park Pool is actually even older, 1957. The ice arena, if you know, we had a leak in March, which is something we prepared for, and thankfully it went as it should have, as we prepared for. But we have a working group of stakeholders that Keto and others are working with to talk about the future of the ice arena. Winslow Sports is another one that we're looking at in terms of just it's been around since the 70s. It hasn't had a lot of investment in recent memory, and things are just showing their age. So we have a lot of needs. We have a very diverse community that uses different facilities and recreates in different ways. Of course, there's pickleball. We always hear more pickleball too. So what we are trying to do with our master planning and with our community engagement, right now we are building a list of all of our top capital needs and basically building a menu of options of how we can invest and respond to those capital needs at the pools, at the ice arena, at Winslow Sports, all of those things. And spoiler alert, we don't have enough money to address all of those capital needs at once. So what we are necessarily going to need to do is work with our Board of Park Commissioners and ultimately probably the City Council, Office of the Mayor, and of course the public on what we are doing to prioritize response to these needs and how we will invest in our community offerings. So our 4 master plan goals that we came out of our master planning with for the next 5 years are, number 1, we need to have meaningful community impact. That's what I was talking about. We make Bloomington more connected, more resilient, healthier, all of those things. Number 2 is invest in what we have. We need to recognize now is the time for us to be investing in things we've had and need maintenance and need care to last for future generations. Number 3 is financial sustainability. We've talked a lot about SEA 1 and its impacts and looming fiscal implications. And number 4 is how we do all that, which is with a strong connected parks staff. So that's a sort of internal focus goal to make sure we're taking care of our staff. So I anticipate we're probably going to schedule, I don't have this yet, but after we get through, Bloomington summer and get back to school, having I don't know if I'm going to call it a town hall or a public meeting, but a specific Parks Board meeting about capital investment where we can hear from the public. We can present the preliminary list of needs and start to talk about building a package of investment for what we are able to invest back in these facilities. I'll just mention a couple more things and then I'll turn it back to you. I mentioned Grand Falloon. Believe it or not, there's also a Sunday concert at Bryan this Sunday. So we have that. Coming up, if you don't know, Parks manages for Bloomington. We are a tree city, the oldest tree city in Indiana. We are a bird town, USA. Birds are town, not city for some reason. And then we are also a bee city. So we manage those 3 things for the city of Bloomington. There are 3 great certifications that just show what we're all about. But June 21st through 28th is Bee City USA and Pollinator Week and BioBlitz. So we're going to have a few different fun events. There's going to be one at the Lilly Library in collaboration with IU. BioBlitz is going out and identifying certain plants and things like that in areas. So there's more info on our website about that. Of course, we're right around the corner from the 4th of July and the parade. We will have the parade again this year. The parade fell on a Saturday this year, and we were kind of trying to figure out how to do market and parade at the same time. The good news is we are doing them at the same time. So farmers market and 4th of July parade combined downtown on that Saturday, which I think will be really fun. Farmers market on Saturdays is going extremely well. We love all our vendors, our food and beverage artisans. Attendance is great. We think it's such a lively part of the downtown. This Saturday is also Youth Day at the market, which is really special. We've actually expanded that because it's been so popular where you'll see a bunch of the youth of Bloomington selling their wares, whatever that might be. Lastly, a couple anniversaries and things coming up. We're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Sherwood Oaks Park in July. I'm affectionately dubbing that the SO50. So we're just having a little fun with that. And actually, Bryan Park is turning 75 this year. So when we're going to do a tree-related event later in the year in the fall, and we're going to celebrate the 75th birthday of Bryan Park. And then lastly, just project-wise, we don't have a whole lot of active projects right now, but we do have the Power Line Trail going in. That is why we put the raised crossing in at Switchyard, is to better connect, not just for the trail, but in general, bringing pedestrians and people safely to Switchyard Park from the west. The Power Line Trail, as you drive by, you'll notice it's going to start to be built back under the power lines heading to the west to eventually connect with the Summit development that's out there. But in the meantime, it will connect to RCA Park and the Habitat Osage development. The trail will be about a mile long. And a cool feature of it, because we cannot put vertical infrastructure in the ground because it is underneath Duke Energy power lines, we're going to be putting glow aggregate in the top layer of the asphalt. That will charge up from the sun during the day and then glow for a certain number of hours at night, just to give a little bit of illumination. And I think it's also going to look really cool. So I think we'll be the second trail like that in the state, which is also pretty neat.
I'm very excited about the glow rock.
Me too. I really want to see it in action.
Yeah. Let me get this. Jennifer, can I ask for your help? So we have this handheld mic. Jennifer will help pass it around for your questions. You don't have to frame it as a question. If you just want to hear more about something, whether we've talked about it or not, now is your time.
Start. You want to go first? You in the Okay. Is that a bid? Very carefully.
I heard you talk about the more police officers now, and so I have a question related to that. As a bicyclist, I've been recovering from being hit by a motor vehicle 2 years ago, and I've been waiting for the day when Bloomington vigorously enforces its speed limit. And I've been told that we don't have enough officers, which made sense, but now we're getting more officers. But it appears that it's still not being done. So what is it going to take to enforce the speed limit?
We do have officers who, enforce the speed limit. We don't tend to have enough police to set up speed traps everywhere. But we are actively pulling people over for speed violations and other moving traffic violations. And I'm sorry to hear that you were hit. That is unfortunately, I think around the country, we're seeing more of that. And that has to do with many things, distracted driving top among them. My encouragement to all of us who do drive is to put down your phones and focus, and there's no need to go beyond the speed limit. And we do have some great bike ped infrastructure here, which doesn't solve all of the problems, but we're trying to do a happy medium.
So I have a question for each of you. So this is for Tim. I think it was about 2 years ago when, this is for the golf course, Cascades Golf Course, when Jason was named as the new pro, and you had a little celebration ceremony for him. There was talk about improvements to Cascades, and one was going to be like irrigation of the tee boxes, which haven't been done. When the new clubhouse was built, it was wired for security cameras for the parking lot, which have never been installed. So my car got broke into. I had 3 windows smashed over a bag that was sitting there with nothing in it. So the wiring's there, and any more cameras are cheap. I have 2 offices, and one has 12 cameras, one has, and that costs less than $500 for that system. So I wonder what kind of improvements are going to be made to Cascades, and what's the chances of getting security cameras?
Great question. I actually have a meeting later this week about security cameras in general that we're talking about, and that's going to be one of the points that we're talking about, to see if we can use some available dollars that we have, not just there necessarily, and I'm just talking about regular security cameras, right? Like just video recording. So that will be one location we certainly talk about. I'm sorry to hear about the car. In terms of improvements, things that are on our radar for Cascades right now, and I just want to say Jason's doing a really fantastic job up there. He's an excellent manager. The irrigation is number 1 on our list that we're trying to figure out as part of that capital list that we're talking about. We're discussing using a revenue bond to basically completely redo, which is needed, 18 holes of irrigation. It's very old. Keto, do you remember how old that irrigation is on that? It's 25-ish years old, the irrigation system, for the original 18, because the other 9 were added later, as you probably know. I think it's running on, we found out like Windows 98 or something like that recently. And that took me back. So that's not where we want to be with irrigation. So right now we're talking, I was actually talking to the controller this week about it. We're talking with Reedy & Sons about how to work on a revenue bond to use revenue from Cascades to proceed that. The other thing we're actually looking at partnering with a private donor about a new on-course restroom. Right now on which 9 Keto? Corey and Ridge. So a new on-course restroom out there that would actually be plumbed. And then, yeah, the security camera thing is another thing we will absolutely look into.
I thought about doing a year report for some of the potholes in the golf cart path.
Well, hopefully they're a little better. I am not a golfer myself, so I need to do better at getting out there. But I do know we worked with our street department last year to pave quite a few sections. But as you know, it's an endless task. But we'll have to take a look and see if we can get some more of those filled.
Okay, so I won't do that now because now you'll know who it is.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, so my question for you.
It's okay if we know who the U report comes from. There is no shame in making a U report. That's how we create a list of what we need to do.
I made a pothole U report today.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay, so my question is, when there's multiple employees from a department working on a project, what would be a reasonable expected time for a response from them? So like if you ask for an update, is there like, should you hear something in a week? Should it be a month? Is there any kind of guidelines from that?
My just sort of common courtesy would be that somebody would respond to you within a week to say, we're working on it at least. I think it really depends how complex the project is and what we're talking about. So a general answer would be, common courtesy is just to respond, I got your email, working on it. But this is a vague question, I can't.
It is.
Yeah.
So then the other part of this was, we had to go through city legal, and once they determined the project was approved or it should be approved, and we were waiting on a letter from a department, it took us over 3 months to get a basic letter. And part of that letter, when we finally got it, sat on the director's desk for over 3 weeks before the person signed it. As we are just, like a weekly basis, just say, hey, can we get an update? With no response. So just putting that out there that there needs to be a little more communication maybe, and maybe some oversight of when people respond.
Yeah, so Carol, I'll just invite you, you can send me a note if you're waiting on something. This is very vague, and I can't really follow up on anything this vague, and it's not appropriate to be more specific with personalities in a public setting. So this is probably not the right place to take care of that, but I am happy to follow up on things. And, you know, there may be a reason that something's delayed, and we're happy to try to troubleshoot. So.
This is not a question, it's just a recent observation. In fact, I was meaning to talk to the mayor about it. We live fairly close together. They marked up the street next to my house for a storm sewer excavation. I know for various reasons I won't bore you with. I know what the marking codes are, and I called the city of Bloomington, water and so forth, and I got 2 calls back within 35 minutes. I was extremely impressed.
That's great. I'm glad you're getting good customer service, Ian. I walk my dog past your house almost every night. So he's doing great. Yes. I do just want to, I mean, we are really trying to improve customer service all over the place, but some of these departments literally get thousands of emails a day. So it's a job.
Hi. Thank you for having these meetings around town. And I want to do 2 different things. One, as an individual, I can't come tomorrow night, but I would like to say that having worked in downtown development and redevelopment for many years, I really want Kirkwood to stay open during the spring, summer, and fall, except when we have special events. That's the way you deal with those kinds of things in my mind. So that's my personal.
Thanks,
Secondly, as Glenda Murray, president of Prospect Hill Neighborhood Association, I do want to say we've worked very smoothly with with the engineering department right now to work on those changes that are happening on Rogers, while Rogers is closed now for 14 days, except that we need some more signage. My husband spent a half an hour this evening helping a giant tractor trailer back up Jackson Street, which is a narrow neighborhood street. Yes. And he turned at our house, and I think he looked, I went running out because I thought, he cannot do this. He can't. We've seen this before. And I was yelling, no, no, and he went straight south on Jackson Street, which is a narrow street, and then he was stuck. So he had to back up, and it took a long time, and Patrick was even helping him go this way, go that way, to get out so that he could go again. So we just need some more signage for the detours.
Okay, and so I too have experienced this summer with a contractor not having any signs up until it's too late and you have to it. There's not enough advance notice, or for a detour coming, or there's not enough to tell you where to go,
Right now,
or both.
Right now, I mean, Rogers is closed
Yeah.
as of this morning. And I was thinking by mid-afternoon, not too bad so far. We saw a whole lot more people on Jackson Street, which is a narrow one-way, not two-way street. But there's not much signage to say where to go when you can't go down Rogers Street.
Great, we'll get some there,
Thank you.
hopefully by morning. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
letting us know.
Thanks.
And you can always call if there is an issue like that. Our teams can get out there quickly, and we don't want the traffic backing up because people don't know where to go. So thank you for letting us know.
Hey, good evening. I just have a quick question for both of you. Let's start with the mayor. How are we doing on the Meridian project, the Gigabit Now, as far as how much is laid down and subcontractors and all that issue?
So Meridian project is back after a long pause. They got new subcontractors to do the install, and they've been working first on fixing problems that were left over, and then we'll be moving on to laying new cable and getting things done. I don't know off the top of my mind the anticipated completion date, but there is one now, so I can follow up with you on that, Christopher. But this has been really a marked difference from the last contractor. We've been working really closely with Meridian. You may know that I issued several stop work orders on the last contractor, and we're really pleased to have somebody new.
And Tim, I appreciate your candor on some of the capital projects and the financial difficulties in SEA 1. Is it on the table that from the Parks Board that maybe unloading some of the public land or coming up with new fee structures that benefit residents of the city? Because I've seen a lot of when the financial struggles come, that deferred maintenance term comes in and it really destroys a Parks Department, which we've seen a lot of examples over the years, especially with the Great Recession from 2008.
Yeah, actually, is this on? The 2008 reference is spot on because Bloomington, like many municipalities, you can go back. There was actually, it was a study, I think it was out of Pennsylvania somewhere. I want to say Penn State, they did a combined aggregate study of municipal park department budgets from like 2000 to today. And healthily, in the early 2000s, there was typically, maybe a 15, 20% reinvestment in capital every year. And when the Great Recession hit in 2008, 2009, what happened with a lot of budgets, and we see it with the National Park Service, we see it other places, in order to continue to operate services at a certain level, personnel, supplies, contracts, services, the capital line is what was cut. And the percentage across the country of what municipalities were putting into reinvestment in terms of capital dollars, equipment, things like that went down, down, down. And Bloomington was no exception. Bloomington was part of that same trend. So now, almost 20 years later, here we are reaping, what was sown with that lack of capital investment. It's a tricky challenge because when you have a bunch of deferred maintenance, how do you get out of it, right? How do you break the cycle and start fresh with keeping up with something, apart from just building something new? Like, building something new is really exciting, right? You can get all people on board, excited to build it, but you've got to also account for the ongoing expenses for it. So that's the puzzle that we're working on right now. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to come back to the first part of your question. Give me the first part again. I was
Fee
stuck in the second
structures and
part.
unloading
Fee
certain
structure and unloading,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
So we haven't talked specifically about like unloading public property. Like that would be a pretty drastic step if we said, you know what, we're gonna take this land out of the public trust and we're gonna sell it, for example. We have explored that a little bit with some of our assets that are more private or rental in nature and are exploring that possibility. We end up being stewards of a lot of different things for the city, but not in terms of just parkland or trails or anything like that. Fee structure, that is something very much we're working on, is our cost recovery. Oh, and resident, non-resident, that was the other point I wanted to come back to. We already do have a fee structure in place that is cheaper for resident, non-resident in some ways. In some ways, it's a challenge to implement because our software is also antiquated. So we are also looking right now at updating our software that we use to register for parks programs to, one, make it easier and cleaner and quicker to register for parks programs, sports leagues, things like that, to encourage growth and good business and stewardship and everything like that. But we're also looking at our cost recovery goals in different areas. So an area like the golf course, for example, that is largely private benefit, is expected to receive close to 100% cost recovery or more. Whereas when we do community event like the 4th of July parade, that's for everybody that's not expected to cost recover. So that's some of the work we've been really working on, studying and setting new goals.
While we have while we're talking about money and repairs and things, I started this evening by talking about how many potholes we filled and significant projects that we're doing with sidewalks and ramps and repaving. I just want to note that in our state, we have repealed the gas tax. So Governor Braun repealed that gas tax. That is money that we use for these very projects. And so there may be no, you may not feel that hit this year, but you will feel that hit in the future. So that was done so you don't feel the inflation at the pump as a result of the war that's going on. But I do just want to note, people, send lots of angry emails about potholes and other things when they happen. And I'm just laying the groundwork with SEA 1 and no gas tax. It's a double whammy, and you can expect we probably won't be keeping up with roads as well as we have been in the past. Awesome. She was noting that the sidewalks downtown have been repaired and they're clean. Paul?
Earlier, I didn't know I could ask more than one question or a follow-up. I really appreciate what you said about distracted driving. Distracted driving and speed, in my opinion, that's 90% of why people get hurt. But I've bicycled about 1,000 miles in Bloomington streets this year so far, this calendar year, and I cannot recall one police officer pulling somebody over that I saw. There may be a philosophical objection to having more policing. I understand that. Some of my friends don't want more enforcement of moving violations. If that's what your administration's position is, I encourage you just to say that instead of telling us that you're increasing enforcement when I don't see it with my own eyes. A question about the parks. Technical question for you about glyphosate. Do you know how much of it you use, and are there alternatives?
First, let me just volunteer that about 2 weeks ago, I got pulled over on Walnut for changing lanes without a turn signal with no one around me. So they are out there. They saw me do
You're
that.
not the monitor of the entire police department.
Just, I'm volunteering my personal experience there, so I try to drive safely. I apologize for not using my blinker. Glyphosate is an important tool in our management of invasive species, and we try to balance that, of course, with how we apply it and where we apply it. So near water sources, it's particularly sensitive, and we use a particular type of glyphosate. And pretty much everywhere, we do not spray glyphosate. Like, we are not doing foliar applications of glyphosate. Instead, what we generally do is cut stump treatment. So, for example, when we are taking on Asian bush honeysuckle or autumn olive or some other similar woody invasive herbaceous plants, staff go through, and volunteers, we have a massive weed wrangle program as well, who help us go through and cut, identify, get those out of there. And then while it's a fresh cut, the glyphosate is applied with blue dye to the stump itself. So that glyphosate goes directly into the root system, not out and about and around. So recognizing we have an integrated pest management plan that actually we're working on a periodic update right now. Glyphosate is not the only thing we use, but in talking to our urban green space manager and our natural resource manager, and in terms of their keeping abreast of best practices in other places, it is still a very important tool for us to use to combat some of those invasive species.
Any final questions from people who have been quiet so far? There we go.
I had two things real quick. One, I do not work for Tim, but I have met and worked with him, and I do appreciate him. So I did want to put that out there. But I did want to say I really appreciate all the events and happenings at the parks and through the city. The ones I want to go to the most, I always have a conflicting thing going on, but I love being able to see how much is going on, and I really appreciate it. So I just want to let you know I think that is fantastic. I love it. I tell everyone I can, and we try to tell all our visitors to the museum about everything going on at Bloomington, and just having that stuff helps us as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. The other question I had, and I realize I may not get an answer today, and that's perfectly okay. As I live on the east side and I try to frequently bike to work, I know everyone's going to be shocked. It's always move in and move out. But there are so many times cars are just parked in the bike lane. And I usually, when I'm on my bike, I don't know if I can even get a ticket for texting while biking. I don't want to find out, but I always feel like when I'm way down somewhere, by the time I arrive here or safely out of a way, anytime I'd be able to do that, I feel like by the time anyone got there, the car's not going to be there, so I'd hate to waste any police officer's time going somewhere where the person is gone. And as much as I'd love to be deputized to be able to hand out tickets to those people, I don't think that's a feasible solution. But I'm just curious, enforcement on that, like what's, because it's not, those are the primary two times, but there's times throughout the year people park there, they'll throw flashers on, and then I see someone like checking addresses, obviously for a delivery of sorts, and it's just difficult because I'm not where I'm supposed to be as a cyclist, and some of those streets just get narrow. So I'm just curious, that's all.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, Daniel, we'll take ideas on this. We have had parking enforcement try to patrol those areas more frequently. We've been trying to notice times of day. It's mostly things like that. Police obviously will ticket if they see it. But again, it's, even if you stopped and called while you were on your bike, it's probably somebody running into a building to do something and running back, and it's the rudest place to park. So really, if you have better ideas, we've really been trying to step up enforcement on that. Because it's also dangerous. I mean, I know all of our cyclists pay attention, but sometimes when I'm commuting, I'm going at a pretty good clip, and I'm sort of like, okay, I'm in a bike lane, and then all of a sudden I look up and there's a car. So it can be very dangerous. So anybody listening at home, please don't park in the bike lanes. That's not what they're for. And again, outside of increasing parking enforcement and police enforcement of that, really open to ideas, but it's a challenge. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another one here.
Hi.
Hi.
In a succinct nutshell, what is your overall vision for the progression of Bloomington as a whole?
Awesome. Bloomington will be a city where anyone can find a place to belong safely, and we'll have a thriving downtown that has a balance of economic development that supports a great quality of place and quality of life. Is that succinct? Not detailed enough, though.
It's very broad. It's beautiful. Thriving downtown, people belonging, community, especially in this age. A lot of people are isolated in certain ways. I know I feel it.
Yeah.
So I explore a lot of different places, trying to find connection and warmth, whether it's the park or various spiritual places, and here today, seeking to kind of forge community, and that's really it, building the bonds of community. And I'm a very spiritual man, so but I think there's a separation of church and state, I guess, in your philosophy. But I like to see our institutions transmit a sacred respect to the land and people. I think that should be imbued in institutions, but something to think about.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for coming. I hope you do feel welcomed here, and happy to connect with you afterwards. You know, some of the things that you said are really important as we move forward. Our former Surgeon General said our biggest health crisis is a lack of human belonging, right? So we're lonely. And that was exacerbated by a pandemic, of course. But in a city, you know, part of my job is with public safety is to make sure people feel and are safe. So that comes up with cyclists and pedestrians, but it also comes up with what you believe and what you look like, and you know, where you feel like you belong. And belonging is a much more complicated thing. And so as a person who has been a student of community building most of my life, I really think that things like our parks, all of our sort of third places, so not home and not work, creating enough of those, but not so many that they're not populated, is really important. And then having the expertise to think about how those places are built so that they encourage interaction and belonging, and you know, as with parks, and maybe a place that you can find some serenity and solitude if that's also what you're looking for. So, you know, we are going to be talking a lot more about how Bloomington, we have branding that is forthcoming. And a major theme in that branding is that Bloomington always has been a place where you can find an amazing array of really gifted people in a million different topics. And you never know. I had one meeting cancel on Tuesday last week, and I scooted over to the IU outdoor pool to get in a really fast workout. I only had an hour, so that means like a 20-minute workout. And I get in the pool, and I realize I'm swimming with an Olympic gold medalist. And she didn't kick me out of the lane. But these are the kinds of collisions that happen in Bloomington, where a middle-aged person can swim with an Olympian, and where our entrepreneurs bump into professionals who may be researching the solution to the problem that they're trying to solve. So what we do as a city is to help foster that human potential and help foster those creative collisions. So thanks for that great question. We're trying to get better at it. And we're happy to have more voices at the table. So thanks for showing up tonight. And I think that's a great note to end on. For those of you who want to come to another meeting, tomorrow night, 5:30 in council chambers, and that's in the Showers building, I'll be having a listening session. So this is not 3 minutes at the mic, but it is a solution-based listening session on Kirkwood, on the topic of Kirkwood. And I look forward to seeing some of you there. And I'll let Tim say any last things you want to say. He is all good. Tim, on behalf of our city, thank you for running a award-winning parks department. I personally wish I could hang out in the parks 100% of my time. So thanks for being here and taking part in improving your city.